Okay, here we are. Hello, Erica.
Hi.
My name is Thais and I'm the virtual host for Art Progression Out. Welcome.
Thank you.
So this is the first time we met and I would like to know a little bit more about you, who you are. So can you give me a little bit of introduction, please?
Sure. So my name is Erica Dew. I am originally from the United States of America, originally from Baltimore, Maryland, and I moved to Lisbon in 2016, and I've been living here on and off ever since then. So I still go back to the States a lot, but I do spend a lot of time here, the majority of my time. Um, I have a background in fine art. I studied fine art photography and painting and graphic design. And I worked for a long time in the fine art sector in New York. And then when I moved here, I sort of wanted to transition into more um, tangible art that I was making myself. So I've been doing illustration, street art, graffiti, and spray paint. And I've recently gotten into tattooing.
Wow.
And um, I got just last year a studio space at Aroche Studios in Lisbon, which is the venue that is hosting the Rare Effect exhibition. So that's where I work now.
Okay, great. So you're from the United States, you're living now in Lisbon, correct?
Yes, just outside of Lisbon, but yeah.
Okay. And this is a little bit of your background in the States. You've been doing some work in Lisbon. Have you been everywhere, any other place in Europe or just Lisbon?
I have just for traveling, for personal travel. I've never, in terms of like living, spending long amounts of time, not so much. I've spent a lot of time in Scotland, so I would say that's the only other place that I'm very familiar with. Also, I forgot about this. I studied for about 5 months in Paris, so I
Oh,
guess that counts.
nice. Okay, so how did you find about Rare Effect and Art Progression now? Was when you got your studio in Aero Studios?
Yeah, so I had been working out of Aroche since last September. And Stephen, the man who runs the space or founded the space, he approached me about crypto art and sort of his involvement in this community. Last year, it was maybe November or sometime around then. And he sort of helped me, onboarded me into this whole world. And he
Yes.
thought that some of my work, because I do a lot of digital illustration and digital animations, he thought that some of my work could work well in these communities. So he helped set me up with it. And that was really when I learned about it. I had never heard anything about it before then.
Okay, great, amazing. Okay, so I'm just gonna make a little bit some questions about specifically about your work, your crypto work, and how has it been and connected with the festival. And I'll give you a little bit of time and I'll go a little bit off. So can you tell me a little bit about the piece you have on sale on Rare Effect? What medium you used and how they were created a little bit, so we can understand a little bit better.
Sure. So one of the things I really like to make is short animations, essentially GIFs or GIFs, however you want to pronounce it. So I do those a lot. I make them on my iPad. There's a program called Procreate, so you can draw um, using layers. You can make easy animations, and so that's something I do a lot, and that's what I did for this piece. So I created a short animation. I think it's only 2 seconds looping that I made on my iPad and then exported as a video file. So it'll just be a looping video. Um, and the piece was inspired by sort of in this time I've been using my screen a lot more than usual due to the state of the world, and so this was sort of inspired by screen addiction and meme culture and a lo-fi aesthetic that I've been really liking in illustration and in music. So that's sort of the colors and the textures go with that. And yeah, that's how I made the piece. That was my inspiration. It's a very short piece, just a few seconds looping.
So how do you see like in the future of crypto art? Like, what do you think is gonna be the future for the NFTs, and how we can succeed with art in this field?
Mm-hmm. It's really interesting and actually quite hard for me to wrap my head around because I do come from a super traditional fine art background. And so a lot of people in that world, which I'm still in touch with, um, are hesitant or even outwardly critical about the NFT and crypto art scene because it is so different than what you would show in a museum, like in the Metropolitan Museum.
Yes.
You wouldn't expect to see crypto art or NFTs, but it does really feel like it's quickly moving towards that. This is, you can't say the future, but it is a future of where a whole sector in the art world is going. And I think it's super interesting because of the blockchain model, it gives credit to the original artist in ways that we haven't seen before, especially in the digital realm. I post a lot of my work on Instagram and other online platforms, and it's so easy for when people do that for work to get separated from the original creator. And repost pages and wellness blogs can steal images, they don't see it as stealing, but they can take an image and repost it and profit off it essentially. And I think for me personally, a huge benefit of crypto art and NFTs is that the credit always goes directly back to the artist. I think that's amazing. Also, as a person who is very online, I think it's also interesting with memes and viral videos, things like that, where, we've all seen the photo, like the recent example of the disaster girl. We've all seen that meme of this girl looking at the camera and there's a building on fire, and no one knows that girl's name. She probably never saw a penny from that, which is fine. It's a viral photo, but now she's able to actually profit from her photo having been used for the past, I don't know, 10 years or something.
10 years everywhere, all the platforms, 100 million times differently. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's a really interesting sort of way to distribute wealth and credit the original of whatever is being shown. But again, it's so different than traditional fine art. And I'm interested in sort of the merging of those two things because I think NFTs are and can be so much more than just memes.
Yeah.
I would like it to be, and it already is, of course, but I would like people to see it, take it more seriously in a fine art context.
Yes, I think we're walking towards that. And I think the revolution time of we are going through since last year, this year, we can see the emerging of the NFTs and the artists,
Mhm.
all the platforms emerging. Which plans do you have for this year?
Just in general, like with my artwork.
Yes, in Videocraft.
So, I mean, if I had never gotten involved in the NFT thing, my path this year was to continue learning how to tattoo. That's my big personal personal goal that I'm working on this year, is pursuing that. But now that I am involved in NFTs, I do hope to pursue this as well. I would like to keep making work to put on these platforms and keep learning more about this whole world, because it really is a world unto itself with a whole language that you have to learn. And so I definitely do plan to learn more about it this year because I do feel quite new to it, and it is very involved. There's a lot of different elements that I would like to know more about. So yeah, this year I just plan to be here in Lisbon and pursuing my own personal practice in several different mediums.
And see how it goes.
How it goes.
Yes. Do you feel like after COVID, did you feel impacted a lot what you're doing back then?
Yes, yes, very. It affected everything for me. I had to go back because of my visa status and for various reasons for work and a lot of things. I had to go back to the United States last year and ended up getting stuck there during COVID because of travel restrictions and flight cancellations. So I ended up being in the United States last year for about 7 months, totally unexpectedly. I hadn't planned for that at all. So that was obviously a huge shift and changed the plan of my whole year. And then a lot of the work that I normally do couldn't happen because of COVID. I know that was true for a lot of people. So it definitely impacted me in that I had to sort of shift my priorities. I had to shift my plans. I took up new mediums. I mean, this is why I started the tattooing. I've also gotten into, it sounds funny because it couldn't, it feels very far off from the digital art sphere, but I've gotten into punch needle rug tufting, which is sort of a textile art. So I got into all these mediums that I could do, that I could make with my hands, because I was stuck in one place and had to do something. So it affected me in ways that felt really difficult at the time, but ultimately have been positive because I've been growing and expanding my practice.
So, Erica, after all of these changes in the world with COVID, what's your thoughts about the future of digital art after the COVID? Where you see where we're going with all of these crypto art?
Yeah, so I think because of the circumstances of last year and everyone having to use screens and technology way more to do work and social things and everything, um, it's actually been a huge boost or an advancement in the realm of digital art and digital exhibitions, digital everything, concerts, shows, everything. And so while it was a really devastating time, it also did contribute to making these things more available digitally. Exhibitions, artwork, events. I think it's really interesting now how we can hold this event virtually. Obviously, there's going to be a physical version, but there's also going to be a virtual version where people from all over the world can attend. And like the first Rare Effect exhibition back in February was virtual only because of the lockdown here in Portugal. And I don't think we would have been pushed to do that the way that we did or be as advanced as we were if it hadn't been for the circumstances. And so it's really cool now that we can have a virtual gallery, a virtual event, people from all over the world attending and participating. I don't know if I said this before, but my parents are going to come to this,
Amazing.
which I think is really cool. Like that wouldn't have been possible before.
True. And we can always connect with sort of these events from everywhere in the world online, right? It's made more easier for all of us.
And it wasn't as developed before as it is now, or if it wasn't as commonplace for these events for that to be, an initial thought like, okay, how are we going to make this accessible to everyone all over the world? An event was just an event locally, usually before this, and now every event we're always thinking, how can we make this available to everybody?
Yeah, true. Okay, I have one more question for you. So, what's the most exciting recent project you've been tracking on the blockchain? Do you think it's interesting?
Yeah, so I actually am not so involved. I don't keep up with a lot of the crypto artists and the crypto art scene, what's new and what's coming out at the moment. So I don't have anything specific to promote or to plug. But I will say something I'm really interested in thinking about myself when it comes to crypto art and NFTs, art on the blockchain, is this the ability to add a feature that when you mint a piece or you list a piece, that there can be features that unlock as people bid or people purchase the work. A new feature of the work can be unlocked each time. So a new aspect of the piece, something visual or maybe a sound element or something like that. I think that's really cool. It's something I haven't played with at all in the pieces that I've listed, but I would be interested in pursuing that. And I've seen a lot of artists doing that where they list a piece that is sort of some some basic version of a piece, and then as people purchase or as people bid, new elements are unlocked and are revealed. I think that's a really cool thing that's going on right now
Yes,
with blockchain crypto art.
we will have something very similar on the festival. I don't know if
Yeah,
you, yes, you had it. Okay, great. And you can explore a little bit around there during the festival as well. I think it's going to be a good chance for everyone to get
yeah,
engaged with that and explore a little bit all of these features you mentioned. Um,
exactly.
so last and not least, a little bit of more about your work and where we can find you, which social media or platforms you use to display your work.
Sure. So you can see my work. I mainly use Instagram. So you can see my work on my Instagram. My handle is do stuff. So that's DOOSTUFF, do stuff. So, yep, find me on Instagram.
Okay, great. Okay, so now I invite you all to meet Erica. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to make them now. Stay tuned and see you soon, Erica. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.